Now, this is an article. This one is really worth talking about. You've all watched Indy 500, right? Some great drivers, and yes, we all feel really bad about what happened to Dan Weldon, and I have to say, yes, on behalf of Dan Weldon's family, we all feel sorry. Dan, you're going to sadly be missed in the racing world. Maybe at some point in time, you could have came over and ran either in the Nationwide Series or the Cup Series. But you know what? Here's one that's, I guess this has already been talked about, and it's actually going to happen. And you've probably already heard this, but I got to talk about it because it's one that all you guys are going to love. And I know you women will too, but, this is a guy thing, and it's Danica Patrick's 2012 Cup plan begins with Daytona 500. What guy? I can't wait to see that pretty young thing driving around the track in a car, wearing a helmet, driving the GoDaddy number 10. There you go. Look at that. There she is standing next to a GoDaddy car. Good for you, Danica. She's an awesome driver. I've been kind of following her a little bit in the Indy since she started with Indy, and she's one hell of a driver, let me tell you. And it says right here, Danica Patrick's long-awaited debut in Sprint Cup, which I've been waiting for the past 2 years. I think she really has what it takes to drive in Sprint Cup. And it says, in the Sprint Cup Series will come in the 2012 season opening Daytona 500. Patrick and Stewart Haas Racing owner Tony Stewart confirmed Friday at Texas Motor Speedway. Patrick is in Texas to race the first of the final 3 2001 Nationwide Series races. She'll contest before doing the full 2012 Nationwide Series and JR Motorsports. Patrick will race the number 10 Sprint Cup Chevrolet, which I'm not a fan of Chevrolet, so I'm not happy over that. I wish it could be a Ford, but that's okay. We'll let it go. She's still a good driver. Bearing the number she first used in karting during Daytona Speed Weeks, where she currently will need to qualify on time. Her schedule will also include events at Darlington, Bristol, Atlanta, Chicagoland, Dover, Texas, and Patrick's home Phoenix event, the preliminary race in the chase for the Sprint Cup. So good for her. I'm glad she's coming over to Sprint Cup because she's a really good driver. And from the way I understand it, she's a real sweetheart. I don't think you'll find her getting out of her car because it gets wrecked and throwing a helmet like Tony Stewart did about 2 years ago. I forget who he got into a wreck with, and he threw it against the other driver's car because he was so steaming mad because they hit him. So, I think she'll be an asset to... Actually, she'll be the second woman racing in Sprint Cup because there was another woman, and I'm almost positive... Somebody can correct me on this. Was it Wallace? Was it Rusty Wallace? I thought it was Rusty Wallace's daughter that drove the number 00, I think it was, all white. She really didn't have any sponsors. I think they were paying for the car out of their own pocket. And she actually was pretty good. She didn't really do too much banging around out there. She was actually, I saw her up as high as making it up into the 20th place in a race. She did really well. So, God love it, Danica Patrick coming to Sprint Cup. What more can you ask for? That ought to be a good race. What do you think, sweetie?
Yeah.
Think Danica would do good for that?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you know what? Let's go back in time to this day, November 11th, 2006. Let this one roll, sweetie. You guys are going to love this. I'm happy as a clam.
Okay, in 2006, Matt Kenseth wins the Arizona Travel 200 at Phoenix for his 20th career Nationwide Series victory.
Yeah! Go, Matt!
Yep. Kevin Harvick finished second by .337 seconds, and Denny Hamlin is third. Kenseth won his only nationwide start this year to drive to... Somebody made an error in writing. So he had 26 wins.
Okay, that's good. 26 wins. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good for Matt. You know, I'm sorry. Out of all the race car drivers, Truck Series, Nationwide, and Cup, Matt, you know what? You're number one, baby. Number one, Crown Royal. There you go. Crown Royal's going to take the championship. You know, Matt says he wishes he could keep Crown Royal. That maybe after he's had such a good year that maybe they decide to keep him. I don't know what Crown Royal, why they're backing out of racing altogether, but like Jack Roush said, he's going to have, if he has to, he'll run the car out of his own pocket and have no sponsor. And Matt still will take a win. Sponsor or no sponsor, Matt will take a win next year, I can tell you that. If he's, what he's displayed for races this year and how well he's raced, don't you agree that he could definitely pull another championship next year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
And you know what? He's not cheating like the cheater is.
Nope.
You know?
He's doing it honestly. Yeah.
Matt could do 5 wins all on his own, throw in the next one, make it 6. Even be as good as Richard Petty, pull 7 wins off in a row. He could do that.
Yeah.
He's got it in him. You know what? His teacher was the best. And God love Mark Martin. He's what? 60 years old now and still racing?
Yeah.
That man still got it in him. And there's talk that he's going to change sponsors again for next year. He's going to drive for somebody else. Hey, Jack, do me a favor. Get off your behind. Go bring Mark Martin back to the team. We could use him. Because he'd be a good asset to the team. You know, maybe you could send the Duckman off to go race for whoever. I don't know. I don't hate Carl fully, you know. Carl's okay. He just had an attitude lately. But I would like to see, if he's going to bring anybody back, bring back Mark Martin. Mark Martin, class act. He taught Matt how to drive. He's the reason why Matt's where he's at today. I love it. You know, bring Mark Martin back. Okay, now I got another one here for you. This one's to do with, well, Tony Stewart, I guess. And this is to do with Nationwide crew chief. At sometimes, let's see. Nationwide crew chief has said sometimes the Cup guys like to do the nation. Oh, let's talk about Danica Patrick. That's right. This is the whole article. I didn't go through the whole thing, so we don't have to get into that because that's just telling more about Danica Patrick. So there we go. That's, you know, basically that in a nutshell. And we know who the nut is. The nut is Kyle Busch. Don't you agree, sweetie?
Yeah. Well, Kyle Busch, I think he takes the cake.
He's got a few screws loose. I can tell you that. Somebody needs to tighten up his nuts and bolts like they do with Frankenstein. Put him on the table, send him up to the sky, let the lightning strike his nuts, and maybe that'll wake him up. Maybe he'll stop the... Oh, and this one we want to get into tonight. This one we can't forget either. This happened 2 weekends ago over at Martinsville.
Yep.
What's with this clown, Brian Vickers? And I do mean them, and I'm using the word clown very loosely because there's nothing more than what he is. He hit Matt, right? He can't even own up to that it was his fault. He's saying that Matt was the problem. When have we ever seen Matt cause a wreck?
No.
Do you remember him causing a wreck?
No, he's never caused a wreck.
You know, the number 24 has caused lots of wrecks. Because that's what that's what he's all about, is causing wrecks. Well, Brian Vickers had so many accidents, like he hit more people than he's hit the lottery. What does that tell you? He only admits to causing 1 wreck, and that was the final wreck of the night. And he claims he'll take the claim to that one, but he won't claim that he hit Matt. If you listen to what Matt had to say, Matt kept saying that all he kept doing was driving into my door. He kept feeling him pounding into his door, you know, like he was a deadbeat trying to break down your house and rob you, or like maybe the big bad wolf and the 3 little pigs, and he was huffing and puffing and blowing his door down. Well, I think that's what Brian Vickers was trying to do. I think you guys can agree on this one. Brian Vickers has got some problems here. He's got, kind of like Kyle Busch, he's got some hitting issues, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. And I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on that, too.
Yeah, please give us your thoughts on what you thought of the race at Martinsville 2 weekends ago and what Brian Vickers was doing. Because do you think he really caused all those wrecks? Because in my opinion, he was the number 1 cause. He hit everybody on that track except for himself. If he could have hit himself, he would have.
Yeah, there were too many accidents.
Yeah, there was too many accidents that night.
He was involved in,
He was involved in almost every accident in that race, and he's trying to not own up to those accidents. He's trying to say, well, it wasn't my fault. And he's trying to blame Matt, saying, well, it was Matt's fault. He, come down into me. He did not. Brian, go home. If you don't know how to race, don't race at all then. If you can't take the blame for something, then don't race at all. We don't want you. Go away. Go find something else to do. Go play with some tiddlywinks. Or better yet, I'll get you some, what do they call those, the logs that you put together?
Lincoln logs?
The Lincoln logs. We'll get you some Lincoln logs to play with. Or some dominoes, or even some, those are popsicle sticks. Like the kid did that had over 1 million views on YouTube. What do they call that? The popsicle stick explosion.
Yeah.
Go play with some popsicle sticks. That's more up your alley. Don't come onto the track and start banging into some of the drivers we care about. We're trying to win a championship here. Matt was not trying to cheat. He was not trying to run into you so that you'd get out of his way so that he could take the win. No, Matt doesn't play that way. Matt drives like a gentleman, like Mark Martin does. So, come on. Let's stop all this banging around and trying to take contenders out. I think that's what he's trying to do. He was trying to take Matt out of contention of, taking a championship. Don't you think?
Yeah. That's what I think his intent was, yep.
Yeah, because Matt's not that way. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So you know what? Go home. Stop racing. Go watch it on TV. When you go home, you'll see Matt won't have any more problems because you won't be there to cause them. So,
Yeah.
oh well. I guess that's all we have to say for this edition of the pre-show Around the Corner. Remember, stay tuned. January, February, somewhere in there is going to be the actual Around the Corner show, and it's going to be a good one, so you're going to watch. You'll see more of my wife, Michelle. I know you guys haven't really met her in person, and you never met me in person, but you see me do these shows, and if you got her as a friend on Facebook, and she's on the group page, fine. If you don't have her, please hit her up. Michelle Weaver, she's also the administrator of the page, so as well as I am, so please hit her up. You're in for some good times with us because we're going to keep you guys informed of what's happening with NASCAR and everything going on between, the cheater, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, even the jerk Brian Vickers, the asshole, Kurt Busch.
Yeah.
Oh, not Kurt, but Kyle, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
Kyle.
Kurt. I didn't mean to call you that. Kyle, the idiot. And one last thing. There was somebody that actually got caught doing drugs and racing. You know what?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Drugs and alcohol in a Sprint Cup car do not mix.
No.
Do not do it. Don't even think about it. Drive and race responsibly.
Yeah.
You hear me, Kyle? Listen good. Drive responsibly. Okay, everybody. Well, this is it. This is Cowboy from Around the Corner. Pre-show. See ya!
And this is Michelle, his Cowboy's wife.
Well, this ain't no sun to dry. Got the tack red line, throttle open wide.